He looks almost alive. A young man steps forward. His body is nude. His face is calm. His hair falls in perfect patterned strands. But something is strange. He steps forward, and yet he does not move. He smiles, and yet he does not feel. He has a body, but he's not really a person. He is an idea. But before we follow that idea further, we have to remember something important about Greek art. We are not seeing everything the Greeks made. Only a fraction of original Greek works survive. Many famous sculptures are known through later Roman copies because the Romans admired Greek culture and reproduced Greek works again and again. But that raises a question: are those copies faithful records or Roman interpretations? And even the ancient writings that mention Greek art often survive only in fragments. So Greek art comes to us through ruins, copies, and partial memories. We are always reconstructing a world from what remains. Greek art had begun again with pattern: lines, triangles, zigzags, meanders. On funerary vessels like the Dipolon crater, grief became rhythm. Even death was brought into order. But pattern could only go so far. Eventually, the Greek answer to chaos would have to become human. This is the Archaic period, a period when Greek artists begin to move beyond geometric pattern and towards something far more ambitious: the standing human body. Not yet fully naturalistic, but no longer just a symbol. One of the most important forms of this period is the Kouros. Kouros means youth. These are standing male figures, usually nude, facing directly forward. One foot steps ahead. The arms hang stiffly at the sides. The fists are often clenched. The body is symmetrical. The expression is calm. At first glance, a Kouros may seem simple, even stiff. But this stiffness matters. He is not walking through the world like an ordinary person. He is not meant to show one individual's personality. He is an ideal: youth, strength, beauty, and order, given human form. And that idea did not come from nowhere. The Greeks did not invent the standing figure out of nothing. They saw Egypt. They saw bodies that had stood for centuries, straight, powerful, eternal. The Greeks borrowed the pose, the forward step, the rigid stance, the frontal body, but they did not simply copy Egypt. They transformed what they saw. Egyptian figures were often attached to stone, bound to permanence, kingship, and the afterlife. The Greek Kouros begins from that model, but slowly pulls the body forward. No longer bound to the block, the figure stands free, less like stone permanence and more like a question. In Greece, the body begins to serve an idea that will become central to Greek art: the human being as a measure of meaning. And yet, these early figures are still strange to us. The left leg steps forward, but the figure does not really walk. The muscles are indicated, but they're not yet fully understood. The hair falls in patterned strands. The chest, abdomen, knees, and shoulders are organized almost like geometry. The human body is emerging, but the logic of pattern has moved into the body itself. The Kouros is not a portrait. It's an ideal body, balanced, patterned, and controlled. These figures could stand over graves, serve as offerings to the gods, or preserve an ideal beyond one life. And the nudity matters. In Greek culture, the nude male body was not simply naked. It was heroic, athletic, civic. Even the word gymnasium comes from the Greek word gymnos, meaning naked. The gymnasium was a place for naked exercise, and by the classical period, athletes often trained and competed nude, their bodies rubbed with olive oil. This was not modest gym culture. It was public display. To some non-Greeks, public nudity seemed inappropriate, even shocking. But many Greeks saw shame about the body as a kind of weakness. So when we see the nude Kouros, we are not just seeing anatomy, we are seeing a cultural ideal. The body is public virtue, civic pride, and beauty made visible. Even the genitals are de-emphasized. In Greek art, the ideal male body was powerful but controlled. Exaggerated sexuality belonged more to satyrs, comic figures, and creatures of appetite. Bodies ruled by impulse rather than reason. The Kouros is different. Nude, disciplined, exposed, but restrained. But the archaic body was not only male. Alongside the Kouros stands another important figure, the Kore. Kore means maiden. Like the Kouros, the Kore is frontal, upright, and calm. But unlike the Kouros, she is clothed, and that difference matters. In archaic Greek sculpture, the ideal male body could be exposed. The ideal female body usually could not. A fully nude female figure would not become widely acceptable in major Greek sculpture until centuries later, most famously with the Aphrodite of Knidos. Greek art celebrated the male body as public, athletic, and heroic. But the female body was treated differently, clothed, adorned, contained, and defined through social role. This was a patriarchal world, and the sculpture reflects it. If the Kouros presents the body as exposed ideal, the Kore presents the body as social presence. She is revealed through clothing, color, ornament, and control. One of the most famous examples is the Peplos Kore. Her body is contained by clothing, but she is not lifeless. And here is where the museum can mislead us. We are used to seeing Greek sculpture as white marble, pure, silent, almost ghostly. But that is not what the Greeks saw. The Greeks painted their sculptures. To modernize, these reconstructions can look startling, even almost garish. But that reaction says more about us than it does about the Greeks. Ancient viewers saw color, painted hair, painted eyes, patterned clothing, bright details that made stone feel vivid and alive. The whiteness we admire today is partly an accident of time. Pigments faded, paint disappeared. Surfaces were cleaned, weathered, broken, and restored. And then there's the famous archaic smile. It appears on Kouros, it appears on Korai, but it is not quite a smile in the modern sense. Not a private emotion, not a joke, not happiness as we would understand it. It's a sign of life, a way of animating the face and giving the figure presence. The archaic smile tells us that this body is not merely stone, it's awake. These figures are not portraits, but they carry values: youth, beauty, strength, grace, control, social order. Greek art does not simply show bodies, it asks what a body means. Is beauty observed in nature or constructed through proportion and discipline? Why did the Greeks trust the body to carry so much meaning? In the Archaic period, the answer is not complete yet. The Kouros steps forward, but he does not truly move. The Kore stands before us, but she remains contained. This is not the classical ideal, not yet. But it is the beginning of it. The Greeks have taken the first great step from pattern to body, from geometric order to human meaning. In the geometric world, order appeared on clay. Now, order stands in marble, still rigid, still controlled, but unmistakably human. And in the next chapter, that body will begin to move. The forward step will become real movement. Balance will become life. For now, the body stands still. But the Greek answer to chaos has taken human form.